Welcome to the Nail Engineer, and today we've got another Nails That Rock. So if you're a regular watcher or subscriber to my channel, you will know that I've done quite a lot of opals and had quite a lot of different quests, and apologies for this, I actually had a little experiment just to see what it would look like with matte top coat, but this here is what we're looking at today. The original opal you'll find on my channel. This is the original swatch stick for it as well. It's not coming off great. There we go. Give it a bit more background, and there you can see the kind of colour shifting. So the first one that I did, I actually have a very quick method now of doing like white opals. Okay, so if you're watching this and thinking, oh, is there a quicker way than how she did it on this video, which was to encapsulate flakes in clear and then make a milky magic mixture to go over the top very, very thinly after refining the surface. Yes, there is an easier way to do it, and you will find it on my opal geode. I'll put a link for it in the description below. But yeah, there you will find how to do a pale or a white coloured opal the quick way. And here's some others I made earlier, just to show you that you can really play around with it. And this is the first fire opal. This here I'm calling an amethyst fire opal or a lavender fire opal. This is more of a traditional fire opal. A fire opal is normally a dark opal that has like flashes of kind of like red and gold and stuff in it. And this was a subscriber request, which there also is a tute that I filmed a million years ago and still haven't edited. It may come out before this tute, it may not. Again, I'll put links in the description, because generally, like when I refer to a video in one tute, even if it doesn't exist yet, when it does exist, I'll go back and I'll amend the description so you can find all the links below and kind of cross-reference them. So yeah, and the reason why I started with opals, not just because they're very nice, and I especially love, I'm just waiting for the day that someone says, yes please, I would like a full hand of sea opals please. That's what I'm calling those. And yes, you will see that this one here is a little bit similar to this one here. The exception being though, this one glows in the dark. And it's also multi-tonal. You can see that this is a lot more kind of like, you can't see the pieces as well, because this one was made with the original method of encapsulating and then putting colour over the top. Well, actually this was colour underneath, then encapsulating in clear, and then putting a kind of wash over the top. This was specifically mixed for my lady, whose fingers you're going to see in this video, because she sent me a picture off Instagram saying, OMG, I love these nails, not realising that they were actually acrylic nails, and that it's like a pre-mixed mixture. I think it's a Glitterbells mixture, or it might be a combination of a couple of Glitterbells mixtures. So like, she just saw them and thought that they looked pretty, didn't realise that they would glow in the dark, didn't realise the level of technical difficulty, but of course I'm going to rise to the challenge because I love opals, and I basically started doing them because I got sick of seeing crap like this on Instagram. People saying, oh, it's an opal nail, it's an opal nail. And what they've done is, it's just very 2D. They've taken a swatch and then they've put a few different kind of flakes on it, or maybe used like a bit of like iridescent foil on it. And then they top coat that and they go, ooh, isn't it like an opal? And I'm like, no, it's not. You can't see layers and layers of glittery loveliness, and it doesn't, yeah, it's pretty, it's iridescent, but an opal it ain't. So anywho, before I show you the business of how you would go about this if you're a gel head like I am, here is the crap that I used. So I basically mixed in this, does anyone remember NSI Balance UV gel system? This is some of the shit that I use on a train, so I'm showing my age a bit here. Yeah, this is an old pot, the contents of which are long gone, but I'm a hoarder of pots. And in it, I made this lovely mixture. which actually could do with a bit of a stir because a lot of the pigment has come up to the top. It's a little bit paler than that in person. I originally made a slightly different mixture, and then realised that when you cure it, it kind of lightens up a little bit more. So I added a bit more pigment. So anyway, I'll give you the kind of exact ratios of this lovely mixture. But basically I just did a bit of research. Obviously it's multi-tonal, so you've got in here, you've got kind of flashes of pink and flashes of green, flashes of red, flashes of gold, and a few little flashes that you can just see around about here. Can you see that one there? Just like flashes of electric blue. So I went through my micro Mylar Flakes collection. All of them, well, most of them that I have are actually from Glitterarty Nails, but there was two that I just really needed to use here, that are actually Born Pretty. And the reason being, if I can just show you, that's that one there and that one there. If you can see that, and yeah, sorry about my awful eczema. This one here, the Glitterarty ones, they just don't have one that's like this, that flashes this amazing kind of, like there's a bit of lavender in there and a bit of electric blue, but it comes across really like super electric blue when it's been encapsulated with like a kind of milky colour. And similarly, this one here, oh hang on, wrong one. This one here, there's the closest one, the closest Glitterarty one to it is Reindeer here, and it's not quite coming off on camera. Maybe if I put it over, yeah, if I put it over the pink background, see how it's refracting a bit of pink there, but not quite as much as this one from Born Pretty. And these are the Born Pretty stock numbers, 40359-2 and 40359-4. The other two flakes that I have used are good old Arctic Wolf, the original opal flake, and Arctic Seal. And you can see, well, I can see with my naked eye, this really flashes like super red. Maybe if I just take it to the side, you can see a little bit. But again, with the camera's kind of subduing that red. In person, it flashes very red, which is perfect for a fire opal. And here is Arctic Wolf for your traditional kind of green flashes once you've encapsulated it. So I also made a mixture of two Magpie Beauty pigments, Fleur, which that's a typo on there, Fleur, and Dora, to make this kind of really ever so slightly purpley, I would call it maybe ultraviolet rather than like an electric blue. I used two Glitterarty glow in the dark pigments for it, blue and hot pink, and gel pot. And here's the magic. I just used clear with a bit of white in it, and this is their French white, which I don't like as much as their builder in a bottle white because it's not as opaque. But for a pre-mixed opal mixture, because you want the flakes to be able to show through, it's actually pretty perfect. There's a bit translucent, especially when you're mixing it up with the clear. So my specific ratios for this, and you're going to have to forgive me, it's, you know, nails. I might be a nail engineer, but it's definitely more of an art than a science sometimes. So most of you will have one of these, a cuticle pusher and under the nail cleaner. And I find that this is really useful for measuring out stuff when you're making like a custom mix. So I use the spatula end, and you're gonna laugh at this. This is my detailed instructions.
So far to go when I feel that heat, and we gonna ride boogie. Shout that beat of
So here's one I made earlier, and this is just as applied, unfiled. And with some of these nails, actually, I'll probably get away with that with just some top coat on the top, and that'll be fine. With others, however, this one was a little bit awkward. You can see that there's just a little tiny bit of the Mylar, and please excuse my scabby hands. Yeah, eczema fairy has been. Much fun. So just tiny little bit of Mylar flake is poking out there. So with this one, I've got two choices. I can either buff it and risk ending up with some like kind of nasty raggedy edges. I can buff it super carefully with this one, and I think actually I'll be okay once I've wiped the tacky layer off and then just top coat it. Or what you can do is you can go over and encapsulate with clear, or use something like gel bottle rubber top coat, where you can kind of layer it on and it will smooth out, and then you can buff that and then you can top coat it, and job's a good one. So anyway, I'll just show you how it goes on. Because it is a little bit different to working with a traditional gel. There's a lot of additives in there, as you've seen at the beginning. So it's kind of, it's almost like working with acrylic. Now that might be a little bit overkill actually for one nail. I think let's go with about that much. You almost kind of scoop it up, so it doesn't flow like a traditional gel does because of all of the stuff that's in it. But that's good as well, because then it doesn't slip down the sidewalls and it gives you a bit more time to work with it, perhaps a bit like a polygel. But essentially the application technique, I would say, is somewhere in between a traditional gel application, and actually acrylic. With acrylic you tend to kind of deposit the bead on the nail and then work it around, especially if you're using like the one ball method. But with gel you tend to kind of keep it on your brush and kind of work your brush kind of down the nail, whereas you can see like this, I would never ever normally do this with a gel, kind of squidging it into the corners, but there's so much goodness packed into this mixture that you really have to kind of like squidge it and work it a bit. But my advice is just have a gentle touch, because you don't want to, in case you do have to file it, you don't want to create air bubbles in there, and too much movement will create bubbles. But that's basically it. There's your basic application. You might want to kind of go back in and zhuzh around the cuticle a little bit, like so. And then obviously you need to give it time to kind of settle down, but don't worry, settle down it will eventually. It just takes a little bit longer. And see these bits here, you can tidy them up easily by just kind of doing what I call going outside the lines. Just like hover your brush slightly away from that edge and it'll kind of like straighten up. And see how it's already starting to straighten up. Then you do your standard upside down. I must admit, trying to then kind of work on your apex when it's in its upside down position is not easy with this stuff. It's really not, because you just tend to pull up a few lumps. So I would faff with it as little as possible. Work the product as little as possible as you put it on, and then just let it kind of settle itself. Don't sweat about a couple of lumps and bumps here and there. You'll probably be able to buff it out either with or without a protective kind of clear layer. But yeah, that's about it. So here are the finished lavender fire opals using my special mixture, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to capture this for the camera. There's Frank in the background because this is my life now, but let's see if we can just get a bit of that glow in the dark action. Let's switch off the lights, turn off the lights. That's a Teddy Pendergrass song, that is. Right, let's just hide you in here and see if you can see. Oh yeah, it doesn't really help that I've got the light on my phone on, huh? Let's switch that off and see if you can just see a little bit of the glow. This is so hard to capture on actual film, like really hard, because I can't see if you can see if I completely cover you up. So hang on, let's just get my head in here. Oh, there we go. This is probably deafeningly loud. I'll just whisper. I'll whisper because I'm too close to the microphone. Can you see the glowing? You can see a little bit of glowing. Yeah. Sorry that my phone's not better at capturing this, but this has been the Nail Engineer. You've been lovely. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
And we can ride the boogie.